Hi there, I'm Harry and I cannot talk to you about Inscryption. Why is this? Well, Inscryption is a game that I think is best discovered for yourself, and me talking about it would ruin it. So what can I talk about? Well, as always, I can talk about the store description for Inscryption. It's a roguelike deck builder that is from the creator of Pony Island. So, can I talk about Pony Island? Well, not really, because I haven't played Pony Island, but what I do know about it is that it's a game that subverts expectations. Subverting expectations, a phrase that has almost slipped into memedom in games discourse with the likes of ludonarrative dissonance. It seems like every fancy indie game out there nowadays is all about subverting expectations. But what does that actually mean? And surely if I say that a game is going to subvert your expectations, then that's what you're going to expect. Undertale and OneShot and Pony Island, these are all games that subvert your expectations, and that's because they're games about games. Undertale prods at the character's actions in RPGs, OneShot directly acknowledges the player and gives them a starring role. Pony Island does something, probably, I don't know, again I haven't played it, I'll probably go play it after this. The point is, I feel like the mill hasn't run dry on these types of games yet. So as long as they're deconstructing a different part of video games, a game that quote-unquote subverts your expectations is always going to be as solid as the topic it's tackling. So what topic of video games does Inscryption tackle? Well, I cannot talk to you about Inscryption, but I can talk to you about roguelike deck builders. While you can trace their lineage to the tabletop, it was Slay the Spire that really popularised the roguelike deck builder for video games, and since then every roguelike deck builder has been faced with a challenge, or more accurately, a question. What can we bring to the table? Monster Train has you deploy minions onto a 3-lane layout. Fights in tight spaces brings the genre to an isometric grid. Roguebook's overworld is a sprawling map which can be explored however you like. These games are fine. I'd be lying if I said I haven't sunk more hours into these games than I'd like to admit, but also their innovations seem a bit too clinical, almost as if they're excuses to distinct themselves from Slay the Spire by just enough. So what does Inscryption bring to the table? Well, I cannot talk to you about Inscryption, but I can tell you one rather odd observation with roguelike deck builders that I've only just noticed upon playing it. They're not about the cards. In Slay the Spire or Roguebook or Fights in Tight Spaces, the actions that you take in the game are abstractions. In the world of Monster Train, you are not actually playing cards, you are defending the Hell Train to make it all the way to the 9th circle. So, what if your roguelike deck builder was not the player playing cards, but the player playing a player playing cards? Bit of a mouthful there. Card games are about systems, and using those systems to your advantage. As we've discussed on this channel before, games with systems eventually become knowable. You no longer pick the cards that look cool, but instead the cards that are the best. Any atmosphere the game was trying to convey has now been ruined in amongst all the numbers and meta strategies. And I can safely say that Inscryption is an excellent, smooth, finely tuned deck building roguelike, while also being comfortable that I'm not really talking to you about it, because that's not what Inscryption is. And if you go in with that mindset, you might be a little disappointed. If you haven't figured it out yet, it's a card game about card games. Now, I've reached the point where there's not much else I can say. I'm skirting around the topic. I'm just going to say it up front that Inscryption is one of the best games I have played this year, and I cannot recommend it enough. But for those wanting a little more information, I suppose I should talk about Inscryption for a brief moment. I'm going to be talking about one part of the game from the first 10 or 20 minutes. I would really want you to play this game knowing nothing about it, but also take solace in the fact that I'm barely scratching the surface of this game when I do talk about it. Trust me. But for now, it's time to venture into the darkness. What you just saw is what happens when you lose in Inscryption. You die, your soul forever captured in a card. When that happens, a new challenger faces the board. Is that soul you, or is it someone else? The first one might be, that's how video games work, right? Your character is named after yourself. But what about the next one? Is that one also Harry? Harry 2? What about the next one? The 5th one? The 10th one? The other edge to the sword is that these cards are playable. You can also use them on your future runs, and you may have surmised that the card represents the peak of your loss, combining the stats of your best cards to give a future challenger a helping hand. Harry 2 in particular was a favourite of mine, but not every run is made equal. Sometimes your deck just isn't very good, and as a staple for roguelikes, death is frequent. How many names do you want to give to your failure? Is it worth bothering to even give them names? What about runs that are cut short of expectations, a monument to your failure with an equally pathetic name? A useless card that you intentionally get rid of at any opportunity, knowing that if you don't do very well, then you're going to meet the same fate. I'm not going to tell you when your journey ends because I cannot talk to you too much about Inscryption, but when you do reach the end, I hope you think of them. Hello there, thank you for watching. I hope you're doing very well. If you want to see more stuff, you can go to videogamesabout.co.uk where there is the stuff that you want to see. You can tell I didn't write a script for this one. Yeah, okay, thank you, that's all. Goodbye.